Khala Vedat. You're listening to the Women Power Podcast, a subsidiary platform to the Women Power Summit, the largest event in MENA, with the aim of empowering women and helping them achieve their absolute highest potential. Each week on the Women Power Podcast, you will hear honest, vulnerable, authentic, real conversations from inspiring women. These women will share their experiences and stories into what it takes to build a successful business and career. The podcast will share insight and inspiration and hopefully inspire action and lead change. Banah is a Bahraini Palestinian singer and songwriter. She launched her career by signing with Universal Records MENA. Banah's ability to sing in both English and Arabic as well as various genres, including jazz, blues, classic, rock, pop, and Oriental Arabic, has enabled her to create a unique standing among other new artists in the region. She started out her career by uploading into her YouTube channel fusion covers of Arabic and English classics for legends from Aretha Franklin, Frank Sinatra, Fayrouz, and Kulthum. Banah has launched 4 singles in the past year, and she has a single that trended on YouTube and currently stands at more than 1 million views. She also took part in producing the music and performing at the Youth International Forum under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa. She also performed at the opening act of the legendary Tom Jones. Welcome, Banah. I remember when we chatted ages ago, it's so interesting because I had these moments with you in discussion in different stages of your life where you were still interested in agency, communications, and coming back and work-life balance. And then I met you when you were on the radio, hosting your own show. And it's just amazing to see that your vision for yourself, you were very, you had this vision of being a performer and an artist. And at the time you had all these obstacles. You were like, these are my challenges. And then it's amazing now when I see your videos and hear you perform and you sing and seeing the engagement, I'm just like, she manifested this. This was always her vision. How does it make you feel?
It's amazing. It always starts out with that manifestation, because I think if you don't have that vision, and I remember before when I would share it with someone, they would think it's crazy, especially being a mom and having, started this whole career, not in advance, but kind of after starting a family, which is not the norm. So I remember when I would share it, because I used to think it'd be cool to share it and get feedback, but that wasn't always a good idea. They would think it's a bit crazy. We're happy for you, it's very ambitious, but we don't think that's possible. It's very hard to understand the perspective of others because they've had their experiences and they've they've had their own journey. So it's very hard for them to get aligned with your journey and your kind of experiences. But yeah, they would think it's insane. What? You're going to sign with a label one day? How? You don't even know anybody in music. Because I'm based here and most of my work is abroad. So it's quite insane now when I see what's happening, but I still think, and that's the trick. It's feeling like there's always more to do. There's always more to achieve. So yeah, sometimes I need to remind myself and say, Banah, look back, look how far you've come. And sometimes my husband reminds me because I tend to kind of forget because I'm in it. I don't have that macro view or what you are seeing. My followers are seeing on Instagram, the ones that began with me from the beginning. So yeah, it's crazy. It's really good.
Are you hard on yourself?
Super hard on myself. I'll tell you, it's good in a way because it pushes me to, I think if you're a bit too chill and too mellow, things will never get done. I am hard on myself because I always find space to do better. And I feel like, no, I could have done it. But I'm getting better at that because it's not a good thing to have. It's not a good characteristic to have.
So when you talk to yourself in your head, you were just saying that sometimes I forget how far I've come and then my husband has to remind me. Give me an idea of what's your self-talk. Are you like, Banah, you haven't done enough, you can do better, oh my God, you have a long way to go. What is the broken record that's being repeated in your head?
Everything you're going to do, it's not going to go in that perfect direction. There's always going to be hiccups. It's how you deal with these hiccups, and it's just part of that experience. And sometimes those hiccups or those struggles in that specific journey or whatever working on, these are better because they guide you they kind of take you in a different direction, which was probably a better option from the first place. But what ends up happening with me is I'll feel so bad that I didn't notice that was going to happen, or kind of foresee that that would happen. So I'll start kind of, I'm getting much better at it. I used to be much worse. Why didn't you think about that from the start? You should have probably had somebody else handle it. If I would have chosen this person, they would have done a better job. I should have stayed up longer at night, for example, that night, working or rehearsing or practicing. So that will come, but it's just how you perceive it. And I'm really getting better at it. And I started doing this thing now every morning, which Rana Alamuddin inspired me to do. And I love her. She's amazing. And she said every day, put like a manifestation. And literally my manifestation for every day has been the same, which is be proud of what you have accomplished and stop being hard on yourself. It's so funny that you bring this up in the beginning of this podcast, because this is really something I have been working on. And every day I remind myself, and it's getting better.
One of the things I've always wanted to do is wake up at 5 a.m. and start my day super early. And every day I wake up at 8 or 9 and I'm like, here we go again. You couldn't wake up early. You slept in. This is me bashing myself. And now my self-talk is so much more gentler, but it takes daily practice. So I'm like, it's okay. Your body needed to rest. It was tired yesterday. Tomorrow will be better. So changing, and I'm really aware of how I communicate with myself. And I think being kinder to myself is made my work and everything so much more enjoyable. But I agree with you that it's like a journey, and Rana is amazing, and she focuses a lot on that as well.
Because that's important, because if you don't have that, no matter what you do, A, it's never going to be enough, and B, it's never going to be good enough, because there's a difference between those two things. It's never going to be fulfilling, but it's also never going to be that good. Because yes, we can always do better. However, there are circumstances, like in my case, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a very social person. I still want to have a social life, although that took a huge kick since since starting out in music. So I want to do all of that. I want to work out at the same time, because I was an ex-trainer as well. It's very important. It's an important part of my journey. And then I have my music, and then I have timings of my music, because a lot of things, this industry happen at night. Composers don't wake up till 7 p.m. It's a very, very much a night kind of, and this completely conflicts with my lifestyle, which is being a mom, waking up, dropping the kids to school, working out. So yeah, this entire week, I think I've had 4 hours of sleep every night. And yesterday I said, that's enough. I'm done. I'm going to get a good solid 7 hours, which is still not enough. And I did it. And it's okay. It's just being gentler with yourself. I think that's all it is.
You said in the beginning that everyone said you were crazy when you talked about this vision of yourself of being a performer and an artist and a singer. And my question is, who thought you were crazy, and how did it make you feel when people projected to you that is unattainable?
They thought it was crazy, maybe not in a negative or bad way. It was just based on their experiences and their journey and what they believed was achievable and what wasn't. With family. Not directly my husband, but extended family, my in-laws, my mom, my dad. Because the way I started out was I decided there's no way I will ever go back to the corporate world. I'm an ex-banker. I had an agency for some time. We met at one point hoping that we could work together on a completely non-music related level. So that shows you, 10 years of being in the corporate world. It was a very big step, and I had good money coming in. But it was me just waking up and saying, I'm done. I'm going to sing. And that's what happened. I started... Also, there was a bit of controversy of how the journey started, because I started doing a jazz night in a lounge, which is kind of frowned upon. I'm an Arab girl. I'm married. My husband is a local, So it was also the kind of steps that I took to make it happen. They were risky steps. Yes, friends were happy, of course, with what I've achieved, but shocked, because for them it just didn't make sense. How could somebody do that? And the biggest thing was, how is her husband okay with it? Because it always pins down to your husband being your guardian if you're married. And I'm very blessed to have somebody that understands my ambition, my capability. He sees the vision that I see, maybe not in a very clear kind of way, but he has an idea and he believes I can get there. And family, mostly, I would say family, friends less, because they know less details, but family, yeah, They thought it was crazy.
Did you have to tell any one of your family members or anyone who was projecting what they thought was best for you to just stop? Like, just stop. Like, I don't want to hear this. Or did you have to stand up to your dream and just say, you know, I'm going to do this whether you like this or not? Did you have to get to that point?
In the beginning, you have to make compromises. So you kind of have to be the good guy on both sides. So, you know, so when the whole lounge thing started and I had a jazz night every week, and it was just me and this keyboardist, and we sang, you know, beautiful jazz oldies and blues and some Arabic. And my mom's first comment was, this is not cool. There's alcohol there. Are you night entertainment? Are you dinner entertainment? I saw where she was coming from. It's also acknowledging where they're coming from, understanding that a lot of the times it is from a good place. So she was scared, what would the society think? Would my husband have a problem with it moving forward? Would this whole deal with the family working out? Do you have enough time with the kids? So in the beginning, I had to kind of be the good guy and say, yes, you're right, but it's only temporary. They all thought it's going to be like a 6 months thing. Do it, you know, get enough of it and then kind of go back to normal. They didn't realize it would like blow up full-fledged.
But did you know this is for the long run and you're just like, I'll do it and I'll try it for 6 months, but really you knew it was like, okay, I'm going to do this for a year? Or did you just want to try it and see how you felt?
No, I knew. Because there were many times before where I didn't know, like I just kind of wanted to try it out. Like I used to do like jazz nights and things like that before I got married and gigs here and there, but there was nothing ever really that serious. But this time I knew, but the direction, the execution of this vision kept changing. Like in the beginning, I wanted to do an album, a tribute kind of covers album for the legends. I had this thing where I used to enjoy translating Arabic music to English and English music to Arabic, like doing covers that are fusion. So that was the vision. Then the vision changed. Then it was like, no, I'm going to focus on YouTube and social media. Then that vision changed. Then it was like, I'm an original independent artist. I want an original song. So the vision kept changing. My approach with others around me also was changing until we reached a point. And there's that one point you kind of reach where it's like this huge achievement or accomplishment. Now, when I look back at it, it wasn't huge. It's not huge anymore. It's ordinary. But at that time, it's so big that there's an element of shock with those around you. And they say, I get it. It's cool. No, we're okay now. We're cool. Be careful, but we're okay. We get it.
What was that moment? That
moment was when I performed my first big concert. Because I mean, I've opened for Tom Jones, but it wasn't a big gig. It was outdoors. It wasn't on the main stage. It was my first concert at the Cultural Hall in Bahrain, a free concert, so it was public. And we didn't expect that it would fill up this much. There were 600 or 700. It was almost full capacity. And at that time, I wasn't very, well known. But it was that moment when they saw me on stage and they realized, oh my God, she worked really hard. Yeah, you belong here. Like, now it makes sense. It was that moment.
I saw the photos of you performing and you looked almost old Hollywood, super glamorous, like you were wearing a gown and you were so done up. And even the images as portraits are really beautiful. And my question is, when you look at your latest work, which is to me youthful and young and fun, did that feel like you or does this feel like you? Like, who is Banah?
So basically, I started out thinking, I'm a fusion singer. I'm a fusion artist. I can sing English as well as I do in Arabic. And I want to be that kind of singer that just does, it's so funny, the vision will keep changing, that just does mashups. I don't want any original music. And I want to be like, there were always these certain names of artists that I wanted to be like. And it's so funny. That's the image that I had in mind. So my music was building on that. I'm good at that. And the good thing about me is I can sing several genres. You would hear me singing rock, but I can also sing, tarab. My latest release, although it's different in terms of music style that I like, it was so me. It was so well perceived by people. And it's the absolute opposite from anything I have ever done before. So now the vision has changed.
Who do you look up to now?
I love Sabah. Her journey, her kind of style was very young, energetic, positive. She was edgy, but at the same time commercial. I stress on the word commercial. I didn't think I wanted to be commercial at the start, and commercial isn't necessarily bad. Commercial just gives you a larger opportunity to be known, and I want to be known. And it's so funny, the whole idea with fame. I always said I don't want to be famous. That's not true. Everybody wants a bit of fame, and sometimes my husband will tell me, I'll say things like, no, it didn't get enough views and not enough people this, and he'll say, but you don't care about that. I do care about that. I'd be lying. And you have to admit that, yeah, we care about these things are important. It's important for me. There are artists who just want to kind of do this on the side and do it in the garage and, underground. That's definitely not me. So artists that inspire me, it's hard to say from the current kind of today's artists. I love Nancy Ajram, for example. I think she's done a very good job. I think she's very consistent with her brand. She's very kind of positive, upbeat. So I would say maybe I like what she's done with her journey. I think she's done a very good job. But the older artists, I would say people like Sabah, who was very current, but at the same time, her voice was beautiful and she was classic. But the vision keeps changing. Like just last week, we decided, you know what? No more this. We're going to go with this direction. And that's how it's going to be for the next year. It's crazy. It evolves that fast because I'm still in the beginning of the journey. And that's okay. We shouldn't feel bad about that.
What are the challenges of a female Arab musician?
Finding an identity. Getting people to see you in that identity and love you in that kind of the brand that you've created for yourself. Finding the right team, because it's very difficult to make it on your own. And I say that and I stress in music, in this industry, you need a team. You need the right people. You need to surround, and team could also include the right social circle. Because a lot of the times you can be affected by people's, and I'm very much affected by people's energy. So I need the right circle that takes me out of that kind of reground me and put me in that kind of the correct vibe to continue doing my artistry. The biggest challenge is to keep on wanting it, because what ends up happening, you love it so much, you do a great job, you struggle for a little while, a lot of people will pull out and say, no, this is not for me. And that's what happens with a lot of these shows, the singing, the talent shows. They go, they do a good job, they come out, they're on a high, but they're not willing to put in that extra effort, the proper work. People don't see how much work there is. They don't know. So yeah, I would say to keep wanting it, to keep having that passion, be consistent, to get yourself around the right people that can basically support your vision. That's difficult. And these people will continue changing. They don't stay the same.
So who's in your team and how did you get signed to your label?
So finance is another struggle. And that's why I think you find so much talent that, these kind of cover artists that you see on YouTube and they're like, why isn't she big? Finance is a big issue with music, and music costs a lot of money. Good music, producing good music, working with good writers costs a lot of money. So my team keeps on changing, that's for sure, but there are consistent 2 or 3 people that are always on board. My voice coach, who is also kind of my music advisor, and he's also somebody who was very much connected in the music industry back in Lebanon 5-6 years ago. So he offered me, he basically provided all the leeway to all the connections that I worked with the writers and all of that. I have a fantastic social media strategist who I've recently worked with, and just working with him for 6 weeks has been a huge, I can't even tell you, like I've accomplished things the past 6 weeks that I couldn't do for an entire year. So so now, because everything is digital, you need somebody that is switched on in that department. No matter how good you think you are and you have the grasp of it, like I get it, I need to post every 2 days and I need to boost. It's not about that. There's much more to it than what we see.
Do you have a talent manager, somebody to negotiate your brand endorsements, or do you do that yourself?
It is through my label. It is through Universal. And of course, this is their arena. It's something that they can handle. But whether I have a proper manager, I don't. It's something I've tried to recruit someone for the past year. It's been very difficult because it's very hard to find somebody that is aligned with you. So I made a decision that I don't need one at this point. I just need the right team, and I'm very much hands-on. So it's very hard for me to let go of that control. And that's something quite negative that I need to work on as well, because I want to be involved in everything. And we'll get to a point where we find a balance or the right person that can handle it.
So how did you sign to Universal, and is the music label landscape in MENA, is it organized?
With Universal, I was independent for 1 year before Universal, less than a year. I worked with, different producers on different songs, and a lot of the time I wasn't satisfied because I would be promised something. So for example, they would sponsor the audio, financially the audio of the track. They'd promise that they would market it for X amount. It was never marketed. So I went through a lot of it was a difficult 1 year. And it was also for me to understand the industry because I didn't know. And it was like whatever they said, I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. I didn't know any better. So it's also building your experience, and it's good. That's why I say it was hiccups, but it was good. So a lot of songs should have done better. They didn't because they were never heard. There were a lot of hiccups along the way. With Universal, I approached them. I had an email for someone, and I sent an email because I have this strategy of literally spamming people. My TV interviews, a lot of them were arranged by me. A lot of my collaborations were arranged by me. It was me approaching. There is nothing wrong about that. But I didn't approach until I knew I was ready. So when I approached, I had already completed my single, it was 2 songs ago. I worked with some of the biggest names. So I didn't go unprepared. I went prepared. I had something to show. It wasn't just, hi, I'm great. I'm a really good singer. Check out my followers. I have, good subscribers. What do you think? I knew what I wanted. I had a good song recorded, huge, very well-known team who worked on it, a video that was being filmed in Turkey at the time, spent a huge amount on it. Everything I had, basically, I spent on this track. I went to Universal. I sent an email. I said, my name is Banah. These are all my credits. This is what I'm working on. Can we meet? Just like that. I heard back after same day saying, I can't remember the exact details, but can you come to Dubai and let's sit down? It was crazy. I'm like, what? It worked. So I went, and the deal changed. We started out being just a distribution deal, and then I became, usually that takes time to become a managed artist. It was very quick that I, quickly 2-3 months after we signed, that the contract changed into a managed artist, so a financially sponsored artist, whereas before it was just distribution. But I went prepared, and everything that I was doing before was preparing me for that. I didn't just wing it. Nothing is just winged. I knew that that's where I wanted to get, because I wanted a name like that to be associated with Banah, because that makes me more credible, because they can get me to XYZ and I can't get there. It's also being realistic, knowing I can't get to XYZ without them. I can, it's just going to take a lot longer.
So a managed contract, what does that mean?
So for labels, you can sign with a label as distribution. So you work on a track, you give them the mastered audio, and they distribute it on digital platforms, on TVs, on radios, but they can't guarantee placement. And then you can work with a label as a managed artist. So these are all, the negative part. These are all the negative stories we hear, the artist that stayed with the label for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. That's it. That's being a managed artist. Being a managed artist entails basically running everything by your label, working collaboratively to produce audio. All your decisions have to be through them. So yeah, that's the difference. Financial or non-financial.
Do you get paid in advance to make your content, and then once they get that money back, then you get commission on sales?
Every contract is different with every artist, and contracts get renewed either yearly or every 3 years. So sometimes you'll have a deal where it's recoupable. So you pay the label back through your events. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just receive a sum of money, and then you work with that, and then you share all the revenues that come from events or brand sponsorships. It really depends on the deal that you have with the label. So for example, international artists, it's crazy deals. It's like multi-million, and that's for big artists. But today, the landscape of labels, generally, I would say, in the Middle East, a lot of artists are gearing towards going independent because of social media, because of it's become a digital world. It's become so easy to market yourself via simple things, small amounts of money. It's just having a good strategy. That's it. So a lot of people are kind of not, they don't support signing with labels and all of that. But for me, it is the right step for where I'm at now.
Who helped you negotiate your contract? Or did you go to that meeting alone and you were like, I wish I took somebody with me?
No, because the first meeting was kind of an introductory, and we became friends. And then it kind of developed into, let's distribute your first song. It's awesome. We like it. We'll do the distribution. And then the contract changed into, no, we want to manage you actually. But also because I believe the song was just the right ingredients, and they saw I put my heart into it. They saw how hard I worked. They saw how much I spent, because an artist that spends on themselves, because money is just not gonna, you have to invest in yourself. And when they see that, you see a serious artist. There's something Muhammad was telling me a couple of days ago about Taylor Swift. Taylor landed her first Billboard hit after her father. This is probably ridiculous to some people, but I find it genius. In order to land on Billboard, I think you have to have sold 1 million records. So her dad went and bought 1 million records. And she was on Billboard. It's insane. It's crazy.
So can you tell me about the process of creating your own music with Universal, and then also your own music on Instagram?
In the, let's say, Arabic commercial industry, usually artists most of the time work with composers. So you work with the lyricist, you work with the person who writes the melody, creates the melody, you work with a music arranger. So sometimes the team can be 3 or 4 people that have worked on a song. And that's usually what I do with my originals, with all the singles that I release. And my third release, which is Kil Malta'ayna, was composed by me and Khaled Shamlan, who is an amazing musician that lives in Bahrain. So that's the only thing that I've ever released that has a bit of my... Whether I write, yes, I do. Am I ready to come out with them? No, I don't think they're good enough. At this point in my career, I think I'm doing better things. So I respect myself, and I say I'm gonna put them in the drawer for now, and maybe one day they'll come out, or they'll be enhanced, or maybe my vision will change and I'll get better and I'll rewrite them. How does it work on Instagram? So basically, the time that we were going through Corona, I didn't have anything to release, and I said, you know what, I need to be active. This is the busiest, I need to be busy. And people are online, people are on social media. I can catch them now. And I started releasing covers. I bought myself a home studio because I figured I couldn't go to the studio often. I ordered it on Amazon. I fixed up a system on the system I'm recording now, the audio for our podcast. I spent nights and nights on YouTube trying to figure out how to record, how to mix, what to do. And I started, learning it through covers. And I started releasing every week 3 or 4 covers where they were, professional. This is also Muhammad's vision, my social media guy. He said, get a ring light. I want you to fix up yourself, put the ring light, record it properly. And it's amazing because my engagement was getting less on social media. And then the engagement all of a sudden, I'm like, what? How did that work? It worked. People just wanted to see more music. They didn't care to see photos. They didn't care to see, a reshare of your old release. They wanted to see real content, the real Banah singing music. So yeah, this was all homemade, which I'm very proud of.
This podcast is brought to you by O'Brien Hill. O'Brien Hill is a leading communications agency focusing on public relations, event management, and marketing. It's made up of a fantastic group of creatives in the design and PR fields. The agency first came to life in 2010 as my brainchild. Our creative consulting services were in demand in the UK after our online publication Sketchbook became an overnight success. Much like a proud mama, our agency's namesake is attributed to the place of its inception, Notting Hill. It's now 10 years later, and we're one of the leading communication agencies in town, and we as a team are incredibly proud to be working on this very podcast behind the scenes. Check us out on www.obienhill.com. When you were learning how to do this, how much time did you put learning all these different skills, and did you invest in Skillshare or an online program, or was it all through YouTube?
The machine I bought, for anybody that's interested in music, or because I get asked a lot, it's called Scarlett. It's a program that you buy. It can be a home studio. I ordered it on Amazon, and then I said, okay, what program am I going to use? I researched. I had somebody come and install the program for me. Another financial investment, but very much worth it. It's not hefty. It's not a big, ticket price. And then, yeah, hours on YouTube. Literally, I would stay up till 5 a.m. on YouTube trying to find out what that button does. Why am I sounding like a robot and not sounding like Banah? And how should I mix the tracks? Why is the audio higher? It's a lot of work, and I'm still not good at it. There's still, there's still a lot of mistakes. But it was good enough for me to post on Instagram TV, because when you hear it, you're like, oh, it's quite good, quite okay. A lot of people asked, and they're now on SoundCloud because people want to listen to them all the time. And I'm like, are you serious? This was homemade.
Do you get any negative comments or anybody just really bashing you on Instagram? And does it hurt your feelings, or do you block it, or do you ignore it? How does it make you feel?
There are comments. It's not often. I'm lucky. I don't know. Maybe it will come with time and as I become bigger. I'm so blessed that I can really block. It doesn't affect me. It's so weird. And my vocal coach, he literally reads every comment. I don't know why he does that. And then he'll put a list and he'll say, this person said this. Why don't you delete it? I'm not going to delete it. It should stay there. This is this person's opinion. And it's nice. It's good for them to express. It's weird. It doesn't affect me so much. What makes me feel bad or makes me feel like I should have done a better job is constructive criticism. Because sometimes I'm like, that person noticed. We went through a point with these covers. I'll give you a simple example. And Muhammad said, don't lip sync. Because for me, it's much easier to lip sync because I get to record it, clean up the audio, and then upload it on the video. So I'll lip sync the audio. He said, please don't do that. Your views are going to drop. It's so funny. It's all strategy, He said, people are not stupid. People know that it doesn't look real. And he was right. And every time I released a video that was lip syncing, the views would drop. And I never understood it. And then I started to feel so bad that I didn't listen to him. So it's all just part of the journey. But in terms of things like bullying and just very, negativity, I don't know. It doesn't get to me, but it can get to people. And it's definitely something that has to be dealt with.
You talked about brand ambassador or brand partnership opportunities. Who have you collaborated with? How did those opportunities come to you?
Previously, I used to do, small social media influencing campaigns with different, brands or with the Hayat Siyaha, with the tourism ministry here in Bahrain and things like that. And then I realized I'm not a blogger, I'm not an influencer, and I don't want to get into that. So completely put an end on that, even though sometimes the money comes in and it's good. And I realized you can't be everywhere. I can't be doing everything. And that's not my thing. It's simply not. So I've worked recently, very blessed to have been working with Versace, with all these amazing brands, Dolce & Gabbana, Cavalli. We've been shooting a lot. A lot of my outfits were sponsored by them. So that's been fantastic. It's been amazing. It's a dream. I never thought it would happen, sometime now. I thought it would take some time to get to that. So that's been really cool. In terms of more corporate, or let's say, not yet. But I also have a vision for that. It shouldn't be like, we were just discussing this last week, me and the team. It shouldn't be it shouldn't be everything. It also has to be aligned. I think what ends up happening with artists these days is they're everywhere, they'll take anything.
Do you feel that you working as a radio host of your own show prepared you for this? Because I feel like that was the sandwich between your banking and agency life and then you becoming a full-time artist.
It helped kind of develop my people skills. It helped me be less shy on the mic, maybe more outspoken. But no, they're not very much connected. They're different. I mean, they were at one point. At one point I was doing both, but I mean, I'm no longer on the radio now. I had to leave. I just couldn't handle it. It was too much work, and I had to choose. Am I a radio host? Or am I a singer? Which one? And of course, it's going to be music. I'm an artist at the end of the day. So it helped kind of take me out of my shell, because it's not easy. Radio work is definitely not easy. You're not on TV. You don't see an audience. It's just yourself in that room, coming up with content, keeping that listener engaged, and you don't know who that listener is. and you don't know if he's going to tune out. So keeping the music, on, keeping the music interesting. So yeah, it was difficult to do both. But no, I don't think they're very much related. I think they're different.
How do you get to a place where you know when to say yes and when do you say no?
It's so hard. It's so hard, especially being raised as a yes person, Arabic upbringing is very much yes, aib, yes, okay. If you say no, it's not nice. Trying to satisfy others all the time. How did I get to this point? When I realized it became so exhausting, when it started to take a toll on my health, and I realized it's just not worth it. So now the first question I ask, is this gonna help me develop? If it ticks yes, okay. The next question, is this gonna affect, because for me, priority will always be family. Is this gonna affect my family in a large way, in a significant way? If the answer is no, great, we move on to the next question. Is this gonna take a toll on everything else that's important for me? So is it gonna take more time from these other priorities? If the answer is no, I move on to the next question. Is it so exhausting that my health will be affected? If the answer is yes, I'll say no, I'm done. So it's kind of a criteria of questions. And is it aligned with my brand? That's very important. People forget. I want to say something also that needs to be considered for anybody getting into this industry or any industry. An artist is a product. And it sucks to say this because it makes it sound so commercial. But yes, everything I'm doing, this is a product. Every song that I release has a business plan. I literally sit down and I draft a document where I write, this is my target audience. This is how I'm going to get to them, because every release is so different. This time, my target audience are literally 14 to 25. It's crazy. Whereas before, they're a bigger target audience. So the brand thing, focusing on your brand, knowing that you are a product, that's very important. And that gives you the ability and the leeway to say no for things that aren't aligned. If you don't know what your brand is, you're not going to know what to say no to and what to say yes. So that's the starting point, in my opinion.
Do you use your gut instinct? Like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to do it. It feels right.
Not always, because sometimes I get it wrong. I'm more of a scientific person, and I think that works better. But yeah, sometimes you have to go with your gut feeling. My latest song is so different to everything I've done. My latest release, I decided to release it in Corona, in the situation that we're all in, because to me, it made sense. To others, it was like, you're crazy. Universal were like, are you serious? I'm serious. And it is probably, I would say, my best performing single.
You came up with this idea during Corona. You created the concept, you pulled the people in, and you shot that video clip for that song.
So basically, I had another scheduled release, but it wasn't the right time for it. Obviously, it was a song about love. It just didn't make sense. And I said, I want to release something positive. It's my message. It's my mission. It's my vision and what I need to do in music. I can't just be quiet, because a lot of artists kind of took a break. Like, you wouldn't see them on social media. You wouldn't see any songs being released. And I said, no, I want to do something totally upbeat. So it's called Al-Qa'da Al-Hilwa, which is, it's about friendship. It's about being with people that you love, sharing nice moments. And it kind of made sense to release it towards the end of the quarantine, because it was when people missed that. It's extremely upbeat. Every time I heard it, it made me smile. And I said, you know what? We're going to record it. And that's what we did. They recorded in Egypt. They did all the instrumentation there. I did my vocals here. I couldn't travel to Egypt at the time. And the song was done. And then it was like, okay, what are we going to do for the video clip? Okay, no need for a video clip. We'll just do lyrics. A lot of artists do lyric clips. I'm against that because I love camera. And I believe a song is very much complete with a visual. Some songs at least. But this one needed a visual. What are we going to do? There was a director at the time who I was going to work with on my next release called Sharif Tarhini. He's very well known. Has worked with some really big artists. And he said, I'm going to shoot you at home. And I'm going to stay with you online for 14 hours or whatever duration of the filming. But you're going to need to do so many things because I'm not there.
So he shot you online? What do you mean?
So he was directing on FaceTime. Literally. We think it's the first virtually directed video clip.
That's so cool. So then you were basically the director's assistant. Like, you were moving things around and...
Yeah. I was, yeah. It was crazy. They spoke about it on E Entertainment. It was on Insider News before before the song came out, as probably the first virtually directed video clip. I'm sure it's been done in the West, but in the Middle East, definitely no. So he said, you're gonna need to do so many things. I recruited a team in Bahrain, small team, because it was during the time where you couldn't be above a certain amount of people. And I was casting director. I got some girls on board because you see girls in the clip. They were friends. We shot it in Ramadan. It was very challenging because of timings. He was with us for 14 hours on the phone, on FaceTime. Get up, do this, do this. There's some behind the scenes which I need to share soon, because it's quite interesting how the whole process was done. No, I don't like what they're wearing. Let this girl change. No, her makeup is wrong. Change it. And then it was me doing everything. Literally, I was exhausted. But the result, I would say it's one of the best clips I've ever done, music clips. And literally it was, you see it, it's like any other clip. You wouldn't think, oh, this is just shot at home. No, definitely not. Very high quality. And one of the best songs. And it came at the weirdest time. I was so fearful because what is it? The director is not here. How is it going to turn out? It was edited in such a beautiful way, and it was on MTV Lebanon, which is a huge step because it's a very it has a high viewership. It's extremely popular. Let's say even for Arab expats. So you would see Carol Samaha's clip, who's a huge artist, and then you would see Banah, and it's literally the same level in terms of production, and it's insane. And I was so proud that this was all achieved during such a weird time. But to me, there were no excuses. I had to move. And can I tell you something? It was kind of like therapy for me to feel normal, to feel productive. Because for me, if I'm not productive, I go into kind of a down mode. So I needed to feel useful. And it was my way of feeling useful, regardless of what came out of it. So whether it was these covers, making these covers because of, I couldn't do concerts, doing live Instagram streams, producing a song, Now TikTok, now it's all about TikTok.
Are you on TikTok?
We decided that because I'm unable to perform, how are we going to market the song? And this is also Muhammad's vision. So we decided we're going to get on TikTok. How are we going to get on TikTok? You don't have any followers. Who's going to do the challenge? So we did a little dance. We worked with a choreographer and we did a dance for the song because it's very much a TikTok kind of song. And we put the dance and we collaborated. Now we have around 210 TikToker influencers that have done the dance. And the song, the hashtag, which is, I'm so proud of this, is now today at 4.5 million views. So I think we broke the TikTok algorithm because we never talk to TikTok, because usually with TikTok, I believe, you have to get pre-approval for hashtags that you create. And what happens with artists specifically is they get support in the beginning. They inform TikTok and TikTok comes on board. And it's not about them boosting the views, but it's about viewership of that video or that hashtag. We never did any of that. This one, we were kind of winging, honestly. Mohammed said, let's get on TikTok and let's speak to 500 influencers. I managed out of these to get 200 on board without paying any money because they liked the song, they believed in it. And I said, do the dance. That's all I'm asking, just do the dance. And
200 people though, that's like a lot of messaging.
I collapsed for 6 days. It was just me messaging and they were all personal messages and I got to know all of them. And now I'm in touch with all of them. We became friends, virtual friends. And we follow each other and it's kind of like my squad now, my TikToker squad. But it's amazing how much it helped the song. I mean, almost 5 million in a week.
Okay, so I want to talk about Banah the mommy. I know you're the mother of 2 beautiful girls. Is there such a thing as work-life balance? What kind of mom are you? How do you manage doing what you do? You talked about working out. You like to be social. Obviously, during COVID, that's probably halved or, it's gone down a lot. But how do you balance between commitments and also raising your daughters?
I'd be lying if I said I'm able to balance. I'm not, definitely. Every day brings on a new challenge, a new task of trying to find that balance. It's not always easy. It keeps changing. It depends, at times where, for example, if I'm traveling and I come back, I make it a point to spend more time with them because I was away to compensate for the time that I was away. There are a lot of times I need to be concentrating, so I will come and disappear for 4 hours during the day, and then I'll beat myself about it. I'm getting better at that as well, that mother's guilt. Because even sometimes when I'm with them, I feel guilty, and I just realize now, you know what? It's cool. It's okay, And now they understand. Here's the thing. I think kids are a lot smarter than we think they are. And I think you need to explain to them what's happening. So for example, now the past 8 days with this TikTok, it's a lot of work, How do you keep a relationship with all these influencers that have millions of followers? Some of them have 3-4 million followers. They don't always respond. And one didn't use the hashtag. And one is complaining. And one is this. So there's a lot of, it was hard work. And it was hours and hours of just me working. And on FaceTime with Muhammad and trying to coordinate and all of that. But I explained. I said, Mama, they said, why are you always on TikTok? They didn't get that I'm not TikToking. I'm managing a campaign. And I brought Alia yesterday because she asked me, she said, you're always on the phone. I don't get it. And I felt bad, but I said, you know what? I'm going to explain to her. So I took the phone and I said, look, this is the views. These are how many people saw it. This much? Oh my God. Can I see all the dances? And I showed her all the dance. And she said, I want to do the dance. I said, but that takes a lot of effort. This Mama, that's all the hours that I've spent that I couldn't be with you, but it's going to be over in 3 days. I explained. And I feel like my husband said she didn't get it. I said, she got it. I'm sure she got it. She's 7.5. She's bound to get it. The little one doesn't care too much. But mother's guilt sucks. And it's always going to be there,
It does suck. And when they're born, it's the weirdest thing. The only way I know how to explain mom guilt is the day my son was born, I automatically just start feeling guilty about everything. Just like, maybe I should be breastfeeding, because I didn't breastfeed. Maybe I should be spending more time. Maybe I shouldn't be getting any help. Maybe it's just this constant blanket that's right here, just like hovering. And I think with time you learn to live with it. But I think what also bothers me is, I don't know if you face the same thing, but do you get judged? You're working too hard. You're looking at your phone too much. Do you ever get other people judging you or shaming you?
Yes. Even sometimes mom's school drop-offs. You didn't drop Alia to school today. Like I'll get moms commenting. I made peace that drop-offs are never going to happen for me because I work late and I need my sleep in the morning so that I'm a nice mom. It used to get to me, Wafa really used to get to me. It stopped. It's weird. Maybe this past year, maybe since Corona started, maybe the more I see my achievements and I realize I'm not a bad mother. I'm there as much as I can. And this is important. We are role models to our kids. I can't stress that enough. That's very important. When they grow up, forget they see me on TV and, oh, look at it's not about that. It's not about, oh, mama is going to be famous or mama is famous or, Alia will come up to me and say, when I had Spring of Culture and all my face was on all the billboards and things like that, she'll come and tell me, oh, my friends think you're so famous. It's not about that. It's not about her feeling that. It's about her seeing her mom work hard at something. And that's very important.
What did you learn from agency life that you feel are good skills or real life skills that you have applied to your business today?
It's the best thing I've ever done in terms of career, working with an agency, working in this industry, honestly, because going back to the artist being a product, to everything you're working on being a product or a project, you become so good. I mean, working in client servicing, you become so good in organization. You think systematically. So yeah, you are in a creative industry, but doing client servicing for me makes you very systematic, which is something a lot of artists lack. This is why they need to get managers. This is why they go to labels. But I had that in, I remember when I decided to be a singer, I said, I'm going to be a singer. Okay, what are we going to do? I wrote a business plan. It was 25 pages. I remember we were in summer holiday and it had things like target audience, SWOT analysis, literally milestones, 1 year, 3 years. Now I look at it and I'm like, it's a lot of it has changed, which is okay. But it makes you so systematic and so organized and focused that whatever you do afterwards, like even when I moved to the bank, even being a personal trainer, even now being in music, it gives you that quality. It gives you people skills because you work with because I worked with so many different industries, whether it was real estate, banking, as client servicing. It gives you that kind of how do you deal with each individual, how to tweak your strategy accordingly. It gives you the ability, and this is interesting, to work with to understand the dynamics in the relationship of working with creative people, because creative people have their own way of thinking. They're not wired, in my opinion, like a regular individual. You have to be very sensitive. Like I remember in the agency, like going and saying, the client wasn't happy with this. There's a way of saying it. I'm not going to bash your work, but I'm going to tell you, oh, by the way, if you tweak this, I think it'll. So that having that skill made it easier for me to work with creative people in the music industry, because it's kind of the same thing. They're wired the same way. So it's amazing. I always tell people, like younger kind of studying in college, like what am I going to do with my business degree? Because, business is always the way to go type of thing. And I say work in an agency. No, but it's hard and the money's not. No, work in an agency as much as you can, because it's amazing. I support. Banking, not so much, not my cup of tea. I don't even know how that happened.
What made you want to start your own company, and why did you close it after a year?
I started Matchbox because I felt I was ready to handle an entire thing for myself and keeping the profits for myself. I felt I was working too hard in a place that was taking a lot of my work and not giving me enough credit, and money wasn't enough, and I felt it was the right move. And at that time, I had a couple of clients secured. So I did it, and I recruited a small team, and we did very well. I was breaking even maybe the 4th month, which was insane. But then I got pregnant. I was working until my 9th month, but it was really hard because there were a lot of trips back and forth to Doha. I was very tired, and I just said, you know what, it's too much stress. I can't handle it.
That's it for this week. Thank you for listening to an episode of the Woman Power Podcast. And thank you for downloading and streaming our podcast every week. If you love what you've heard, tag us on Instagram and follow the Woman Power Podcast and Woman Power Summit account for more information on our next episode. Please leave a rating review wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other women discover the show. That's it from me. See you next week.